The life of man. It has always been a battle, a constant fight just to exist, with the heavy certainty that one day, no matter how hard we fight, we will be defeated. Schopenhauer said this plainly. But here's the thing. Defeat doesn't make the struggle meaningless. In fact, it's the struggle that shapes us. Think of this. She smiled at your scars, not because she wanted them healed, but because those scars proved something. Proved that you bled for her, that you endured for her. We're often told that women desire strength. But the truth? What they truly crave is strength that suffers for them. They want proof, not just promises. Schopenhauer saw this clearly. He once wrote that the fundamental fault in the character of women is that they have no sense of justice. And what is justice? Justice is gratitude for sacrifice. But in her eyes, your sacrifice is not a debt she owes. It is simply the natural order of things. You fight, you bleed, you endure. That is how it's always been. So don't misunderstand this. You weren't deceived by her malice. You were deceived by your own illusions. You believed that if you loved her purely, if you suffered openly, she would admire you. But that was never the deal. Your suffering was never a burden to her. It was your offering. In his reflections on women, Schopenhauer wrote that women exist in the main solely for the propagation of the species. He wasn't condemning them. He was unveiling something raw and biological. Propagation demands more than affection. It demands strength, endurance, and sacrifice. You suffer, you strive, you build, because survival itself demands it. And in that survival, your suffering becomes useful not to you, but to life itself. This is why her approval, that little smile, is never given freely to the carefree man. It's reserved for the man who breaks himself quietly, who bleeds beneath the weight of duty, who hides his pain behind a shield of resolve. She does not crave your endless victories. She craves your ability to carry endless burdens without complaint. In the biological theater of life, women have evolved not to admire the strong in peace, but the strong in pain. That is the hard truth. Schopenhauer, with all his brutal clarity, warned that women are short-sighted about anything beyond immediate needs. And nature equipped them with what he called the art of dissimulation, the ability to conceal, to test, to disguise. So when she tests your strength through demands, through trials, even through indifference, it isn't cruelty, it's survival. She must know, can you endure? Can you stand firm? Can you carry more than others? In her world, only the man who endures earns his place. And in this way, she becomes both mirror and forge. She reflects who you are, and at the same time, she shapes you. The very suffering you think you must hide is the suffering that molds you into someone greater. But here's the tragedy of modern man. He was raised on illusions of equality and sentiment. He thinks women will honor ease, simplicity, vulnerability. He believes that showing softness will earn him loyalty. He forgets that in the primal mind, vulnerability signals weakness, and weakness demands rejection. Schopenhauer's warning was not that women are evil. It was that they are loyal to the harsh laws of nature, far more than men who live in dreams of sentiment. When she loves, yes, she loves with her whole being. But underneath, as Schopenhauer said, there is always something selfish. Selfish not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. It is survival, written into her blood. So when you wonder why your endless kindness went unnoticed, why your soft words and your sacrifices seemed invisible, remember this. It is not hatred that made her indifferent. It is that suffering without pride is invisible to her instincts. The man who suffers and rages is still a slave. But the man who suffers and understands he is free. Schopenhauer taught that life itself is suffering, that our desires are strings tying us to pain. To expect a woman herself, a creature of nature, to transcend the very forces that shaped her, is to misunderstand life itself. He wrote, "Woman is by nature meant to obey, not as a cruel command, but as a reality of tension, masculine creation on one side, Feminine selection, on the other. Man builds. Woman chooses. Man endures. Woman rewards the one who endures best. If you feel anger rising as you hear this, it isn't because it's untrue. It's because it threatens the illusions you were taught to cling to. You were not born to be loved for your tenderness, your sweetness, or your intentions. You were born to be tested by life, by fate, and yes, by her. And when you pass those tests not bitterly, not resentfully, but with a quiet knowing, you rise above the invisible game. Schopenhauer observed that women's intellect bears the same relation to men's as children's bodies do to adults, meaning it is attuned to the immediate, to the personal, to survival in the moment. She doesn't plot your downfall. She isn't secretly your enemy. She's tuned to a different frequency, where comfort is secondary to security. And in that frequency, the man who stands unbroken in storms is the man she cannot ignore. Devotion does not go to the man who tries, it goes to the man who triumphs. And triumph is simply suffering refined into strength. The great mistake of modern men is this: they seek sympathy where they should seek respect. They reveal their wounds, hoping she will heal them. But it is not open wounds that stir her loyalty. It is scars. Scars carried with dignity. You are not called to hide your pain because it's shameful. You are called to master it, to transform it. Look at the ancient stories. The heroes who won the hearts of women were never the gentlest or the most accommodating. They were the ones who bore exile, battle, humiliation, and even death, and yet did not yield. Achilles wept, but still he fought. Odysseus suffered exile, torment, betrayal, but still he returned. They were men who understood. Pain is not a personal injustice. It is the crucible of the soul. And in that crucible, your suffering is not a curse, it is a forge. So, if it feels like she desires your suffering, understand it is not hatred. It is that, deep within, she longs to witness your ascension, to see a man rise, not untested, but unbroken, to suffer not in despair, but with dignity. The more you resist this truth, the more you suffer uselessly. But when you embrace it, when you see that struggle is not only inevitable, but essential, you stop begging for approval, and you start commanding respect. Because in the end, it is not hatred women bring, it is a mirror reflecting whether your spirit is ready to bear the crown of life. A crown not earned in comfort, but in scars. She does not make you suffer to destroy you. She makes you suffer to reveal you. And when you understand this, you will stop fearing her nature. You will bless it. The wise man does not curse the storm. He builds a stronger ship. Schopenhauer's warnings were never calls to hatred. They were calls to understanding, to clarity. He said, to marry is to have one's rights and double one's duties. That isn't cynicism, it's preparation. It's a wake-up call. A man who expects women to change will always end up bitter, because she will not, she cannot. Nature is stronger than your hopes. What must change is your expectation of her, and more importantly, your expectation of yourself. A man must fortify his character. He must master his soul. If a woman finds power in your suffering, let it not be the suffering of a man broken by illusions. Let it be the suffering of a man who bears the heavy crown of life with dignity. When you embrace your struggle, when you carry it without begging for pity, without pleading for gratitude, you stop being a boy crying for validation. You become a man who exists beyond it. Your strength is not measured by the absence of pain, it is measured by your presence within it. Pain is not a detour, it is the path. So endure not for her gaze, but for your own reflection. Suffer not to earn her love, but to sharpen your spirit against the storms that will always come. And if in the end you earn her admiration, it will not be because you chased it, it will be because you transcended the need for it. Remember this: Schopenhauer, the bleak philosopher of existence, still believed there could be moments of beauty amid the cruelty of life. He did not despise women. He pitied men who misunderstood them. The man who misunderstands sees a woman as an enemy, as someone plotting against him. But the man who understands sees her as a force of nature. She is the wind. The wind can dash a weak ship against the rocks, or it can carry a strong ship into the vast unknown. And so, brothers, you must build yourselves into strong ships, men who do not beg for softness where nature demands strength, men who do not cling to illusions where reality demands clarity. See women not as judges of your worth, but as reflections of your readiness. If she challenges you, if she tests you, if she seems indifferent, see it not as treachery, but as training. She brings the flame not to burn you, but to temper you. The solution, then, is not withdrawal. It is not resentment. It is sovereignty. It is the grounding of your life in something deeper than her approval. Build your life first. Anchor yourself in purpose. Cultivate strength so deep that whether she loves you or leaves you, your spirit remains unmoved. When you engage with women from a place of fullness, not need, the entire game changes. You are no longer begging. You are no longer seeking validation. You are simply standing, complete, unbroken. And then, and only then, can you truly live harmoniously with women. Not as a boy craving comfort, not as a cynic craving revenge, but as a man who knows that love at its highest is not an escape from suffering, but the meeting of two warriors who have endured it. You were not born to be pitied. You were born to be revered. And reverence is never given cheaply. It is earned through fire, through scars, through endurance. Schopenhauer pointed the way. The rest is yours to walk. Stand tall, suffer well, rise beyond the game. But let's go deeper. If these truths unsettle you, it's because they strip away the illusion society sold you. Society tells you, be kind, be open, be vulnerable, and she will love you. Yet countless men find themselves confused, even broken, when that formula fails. Why? Because it ignores her primal nature, her instincts. You see, vulnerability in the masculine is not interpreted the same way as in the feminine. For a woman, vulnerability can inspire protection, care, and empathy. For a man, vulnerability signals weakness, and weakness demands rejection. That's why your endless kindness, your vulnerability, your sacrifices without pride, they vanish before her eyes. They don't register. They don't move her. Because they don't speak the ancient language, her instincts understand. Her instincts respond to resilience, not fragility. To scars, not open wounds. To strength under weight, not collapse under pressure. This doesn't mean you must become stone. Number. A man who feels nothing is not admirable. He is a shell. The lesson is not to erase your humanity, but to master it. To be capable of suffering, but also capable of holding it with dignity. Because in the end, she is not looking for a man who has never been hurt. She is looking for a man who has been hurt, broken even, but rebuilt himself stronger. This is why in myth and story, the heroes who captured devotion were never untested. They were scarred, they were flawed, they were human, but they endured. And endurance is the true language of love. Now, let me make something clear. This is not a call to martyr yourself endlessly for women. This is not about pleasing her at any cost. It is about embracing the reality that her nature, her instincts, her tests are not curses, but crucibles. They exist to reveal whether you are ready to stand as a man. The boy expects gratitude. The man expects nothing because he already knows who he is. And that's where sovereignty begins. You stop begging for comfort. You stop raging at indifference. You simply endure with clarity and purpose. You build your life on a foundation deeper than her approval. And once you do this, her tests, her indifference, her trials, they lose their sting. You no longer take them as personal attacks. You take them as natural storms. And like a sailor who has built his ship well, you ride them. Brothers, hear this. The woman is not your enemy. She is your training ground, your mirror, your forge. And the man who understands this, he doesn't curse her, he blesses her. Because he knows that without storms, a ship is never proven. Without tests, a man is never forged. And without suffering, strength is never born. So let the suffering come. Let the trials arrive. Let her test you. Let life break upon you. Stand firm, not because you crave her approval, not because you want the world to praise you, but because you know that through this fire, your soul is sharpened. Schopenhauer may have painted life as bleak, but within that bleakness is a strange beauty. The beauty of endurance, the beauty of scars, the beauty of a man who stands when everything else falls. That is the man she cannot ignore. That is the man life itself rewards. The boy cries, "Why does she not see my love?" The man smiles and says, "My scars speak louder than words." And in that smile is sovereignty. Let's bring this to the final truth. If you understand what Schopenhauer was pointing toward, you'll realize he wasn't trying to make you bitter. He was trying to make you clear-eyed. He wanted men to stop living in illusions. Illusions about life, about women, about love itself. He knew life is suffering. He knew our desires are chains that keep us tied to pain. And he knew that women, as creatures of nature, would never escape those same laws of biology. So, if you expect her to transcend nature to be endlessly soft, endlessly nurturing, endlessly grateful, you will break. Because that expectation is not rooted in reality. It's rooted in the fairy tales you were fed. The wise man doesn't demand that she become something she's not. The wise man adapts. The wise man strengthens. Think of it this way. A storm does not hate you. A storm simply is. You cannot negotiate with a storm. You cannot beg it for mercy. You either build a stronger ship, or you sink. That is how you must see women, and even life itself. Not as enemies, not as villains, but as forces of nature. The modern man's error is that he wants sympathy when he should want respect. He wants to be comforted when he should want to be challenged. He wants to be coddled when he should be forged. And so he grows angry, resentful, broken. But the sovereign man, he sees the game for what it is. He does not fight against the nature of women. He does not curse it. He embraces it. He blesses it. Because he knows that every demand, every test, every moment of indifference is shaping him into someone stronger. It is training. When she challenges you, it is not to break you. It is to reveal you. When she seems indifferent, it is not to wound you. It is to see if your spirit still stands on its own. When she pushes you, it is not because she hates you. It is because she must know, are you strong enough to endure? And if you understand this, you will no longer beg for softness. You will no longer cling to illusions. You will rise. You will stop pleading for validation, and instead, you will command respect. And in this, you will find freedom. The man who suffers and rages is enslaved. The man who suffers and understands he is free. Free because he no longer fears suffering. Free because he no longer mistakes her nature for cruelty. Free because he no longer expects what she cannot give. He is grounded in himself, anchored in purpose, sovereign. Brothers, you must understand she does not make you suffer to destroy you. She makes you suffer to reveal you. If you hide from this, you will remain a boy. If you embrace it, you will become a man who endures, a man who builds, a man who does not crumble at trials, but who grows sharper because of them. This is why the highest form of love is not comfort. It is not escape. It is two warriors standing together, scarred, tested, and unbroken. That is love at its highest. And if you resist this truth, if you cling to illusions, you will only suffer uselessly. But if you embrace it, you will suffer well. And suffering well is the key to life. Because suffering is inevitable. But the way you carry it, that is your choice. That is your sovereignty. Do not expect gratitude. Do not expect sympathy. Expect struggle. Expect testing. Expect storms. And then build yourself into the kind of man who welcomes it. for only then will you rise beyond the game. Look at the stories of the ancients. Achilles wept, but still fought. Odysseus suffered endlessly, but still returned. These were not men who lived without pain. They were men who mastered it, who bore it with dignity, who carried it as a crown. That crown is not comfort. That crown is scars. So wear your scars with pride, not because you want her admiration, but because you know they are proof you endured. And in enduring, you earned sovereignty. You see, the truth is this: you were not born to be pitied. You were born to be revered. And reverence is not earned by ease. It is earned by fire, by building, by enduring, by rising. Schopenhauer pointed the way. He stripped away the illusions. He showed us that life is suffering, that women are loyal to nature, that men must be forged in pain. But the rest is yours to walk. So walk it. Stand tall. Suffer well. Rise beyond the game. And if this message touched something in you, if it awakened a truth you felt but could never quite name, then I ask you to stand with us. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, not just for this message, but for a movement, one of choosing strength, clarity, and sovereignty. You'll find the support link in the description below. Together, we rise. Together, we endure. Together, we become men worthy of reverence. And so I leave you with this: do not curse the storm. Build a stronger ship. Do not hide from suffering. Transform it. Do not beg for validation. Command respect. Because the world does not give crowns, it forges them. And those who wear them are not the men who escaped pain, but the men who suffered and rose above.